This practice, I hope, will offer some balancing effects for the nervous system. We'll do lots of standing work if that's accessible for you this month or today. And we'll do some bilateral movement to connect the right and left brain with the left and right sides of our body, which also has a neutralizing effect on our nervous system, allowing us to access our curious and social systems and be at ease as we move around in the world, or at least that's the hope. All right, if you'd like to join me for a bit of a warm up, you're welcome to find your feet. You might look down and notice if you're standing on something like imaginary railroad tracks, you could heel toe your feet a little wider for extra stability in what we call mountain pose, which is just standing tall. You might choose to turn your thumbs outward, letting your palms shine forward. Think tall thoughts. I like to think from my toes all the way up to my nose as I take a deep breath in and reverse that. Send that out. Maybe decide if you're ready to add a little bit of movement. I invite you to take a small bounce in your knees, just beginning a little bit of soft movement this way. You could begin to sway from side to side. Just shifting your weight from one foot to the other, beginning to maybe soothe the nervous system by letting a little bit of energy out. I like to imagine there's water on my hands and I can fling it off the tips of my fingers, adding a little bit of arm movement, a little bounce in the elbows. You could shake the wrists out, make this yours, whatever feels good today. Maybe it's a really soft movement. You might like to kind of pace back and forth on your mat. Maybe you have some music going in the background and this starts to take a little bit of a rhythm or a beat. Maybe it starts to feel a bit like a dance. You could add some organic movement. Be kind of silly if that's what you need today. Just let that extra energy out of the body, the shoulders, the neck, the elbows, the wrists, the hips, the knees, the ankles. You might pick one foot up as you shift your weight and maybe shake the foot as well. I like to think about playing the hokey pokey. You put your right foot in and you shake it all about. Do with that what you will. Again, I encourage you to make this yours. We're just warming up the body a little bit and hopefully cooling down the nervous system, allowing any kind of sense of anxiousness or just antsiness to kind of work its way out. If it's cold where you are in the world, like it is for me today, maybe you've started with kind of a warm layer that might feel nice to remove. So continue as you may, making this yours along the way. And you can continue just like this, however this looks for you. Or maybe you're ready to bring a little more intention into the movement, a little more controlled coordination. So maybe you start to stay on one leg a little longer, practicing a little more balance. Maybe the hands still a bit, beginning to hang at your sides, just lifting a knee to hip height. Maybe slowing down the shift of your weight from side to side, slowly marching in place. Kind of pausing in the balance in between shifts. Maybe stepping mindfully down on your whole footprint, noticing both feet before pushing off with the other to lift the strong knee. You can continue this way or bring that bounce back in whatever form it may take in your arms if you'd like. Or maybe same side hand as your standing leg reaches out towards the ground for support, for balance. Or you could bring the opposite hand to the lifted knee and create resistance here. Press your palm into your knee and your knee into your palm as you continue to march. Notice that this starts to warm up the abdominal muscles, your transverse abdominis, the corset muscle. It allows strength for the spine, some tall posture. You can decide how much work to do here as well. Maybe you really drive that knee up towards the sky into the resistance of that hand. Or maybe you just give it a pat and this is a nice soft connection. Whatever your body needs today. Maybe you notice your breath. You could give it a bit of a hug in the back of your throat. Almost like making steaming sounds of an iron as it heats up on an ironing board, or as though to on a pair of sunglasses, maybe to clean them. Just exploring the sounds and textures of your breath. Nice. As you're ready, you can find both feet underneath you once more. Notice your toes, allow them to point forward as much as they will. Think about rotating your knees outward, allowing your activation of the strong thigh muscles around your femurs. Stand tall. You might turn your thumbs outward with a deep breath in, reaching towards the ground with your fingers as your skull reaches towards the sky. Nice. You're welcome to stay here or join me for a slow motion joy breath, in which we'll emphasize the inhale in 3 parts using our arms. And then we'll offer a big exhale as we fold forward. If you have blocks along and would like to place them in front of you, this can be a nice spot for your handprints to land when you dive forward, if that's supportive for you today, especially if you have blood pressure concerns and don't wish to bring your heart all the way towards the floor. That's okay. If you'd like to join me for Joy Breath, we'll begin by raising the arms in front of us, almost like a zombie or Frankenstein monster. The second inhale is to open the arms outward like a T. And lastly, we'll reach up high, expanding the rib cage on the sides of the waist, allowing one last puff of air in, and then slowly exhaling as we fold forward, maybe finding those blocks in front, supporting the upper body, allowing the back of the legs to be long, or maybe choosing to fold all the way forward and taking opposite elbow and opposite hand. And then we'll all roll up to stand to begin the next cycle. So that's what it looks like. Hop in when you're ready. We'll do this 3 to 5 times together if you choose. All right, from strong mountain pose, exhale where you are, releasing any stale air. And inhale, inhale, inhale more and fold. Inhale to roll up and repeat. In again and fold. Continue at your pace, emphasizing the inhale in 3 parts and folding to exhale. I'll turn sideways for the next couple of rounds. Inhale. I have a wall here, so you'll see an adjustment. We'll exhale to fold. Once more. Nice. You can continue this way if you'd like. That might feel good. Sometimes I need a few cycles of that to explore the joy breath, but I encourage you to make it yours. From here, we'll find our tall mountain pose again, noticing both feet, allowing a little space on the mat as though the road ahead in front of us. Take a soft bend in your knees, and again, think about rotating the knees outward so they point the same direction as the toes. We'll explore just a standing and sitting motion here as we move from mountain, tall, standing, looking forward, to chair, sitting the hips low and back, option to reach the hands forward as though lifting a serving tray. This counterbalances the weight. And while you're in your chair pose, I encourage you to bring your awareness to your low back. Tuck your tail to lengthen it any amount. You could sit a little lower before inhaling to stand. We'll move through that with several cycles. One more option here. If you have a block available, or next time you're in a studio, I invite you to try placing it on the lowest setting, maybe between your thighs. We'll see if you can see this on camera or not, but with the activation of the inner thighs pressing against the block in a standing pose, you can explore that outward rotation of the thighs, which shifts the block forward in space. Did you see that? And then you can do the opposite. I like to imagine I'm standing on the lids of two pickle jars. And so there's kind of this outward rotation activation in both feet, squeezing the glutes, rotating the thigh musculature outward around the femur, and creating this strong alignment for a nice tall stance. And then you can squeeze that block as you sit into your chair pose. But you'll notice that that could feel a little narrow on that lowest setting as you begin to squat. So you might like to bring it to, I like the medium setting, but all bodies are shaped different. So you find what works for you and whatever block you're working with. So this will take your standing stance a little bit wider, which just adds stability, which is nice, right? And then from here, we can practice our mountain to chair. So make this yours. Inhale, stand tall in a mountain pose, think tall thoughts, and then exhale, lower the hips, lift the hands. You might look down at your knees, tuck your chin, and lengthen the back of your neck. And move with your breath, inhaling to grow tall, exhaling to lower to your chair. Notice your low back, have strength in your core. Lots to pay attention to here. You might take 3 more cycles at your pace, moving with your breath. Exhaling to sit strong into your chair pose. Inhaling from toes to nose, growing tall. Nice work. If you're working with a block, you can remove it. You could try that a couple times without if you'd like. If you choose, you might join me in taking an even wider stance now. Your feet can be wider than your shoulders. You might turn your toes towards the outer corners of your mat so your heels are a little closer towards center than your toes. From here, still thinking about that outward rotation of our thighs, send your knees towards your toes as you bend them and sit low. Nice. That's the move. We'll start here. Press into both feet and lift to stand. Option to reach up with your hands. And then exhale, you might lower elbows and seat, finding goddess pose. An inhale might lift you tall for standing star. And exhale might sit your hips low toward your heels, keeping knees wide. Elbows too. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back. Inhale, press into both feet. Squeeze your glutes, reach up high. Exhale, have strength. You lower the hips, send the knees outward. Nice work. 2 more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Inhale, stand and reach. Exhale, lower. Stay low this time. You might choose to bring your hands to your knees. Pressing outward with both hands until your arms are extended long, you might begin to dip one shoulder towards center. And maybe look to the side. I like to bounce my hips a bit, kind of softening the rotation of the spine a bit. Stand tall a bit in center, maybe lowering once more to press into the other arm. Dipping the shoulder towards center for another twist in the thoracic spine. Breathe here. Maybe your next inhale unwinds you towards center. You could snow angel your hands out and up, reach up high. Step, hop, or heel toe to find your feet in center. And as you're ready, you might take a nice slow squat. We'll go all the way to the floor.